Welcome, everyone. It's the 18th of May, 2025. I am PommyInOz, and I am suffering with man flu, but you are here on the Kickback Footy Show. And as always, I got a special guest. I couldn't wait for this one because the guests this year have usually been on the back of a loss and are judging teams from mid-table. But we have got a guy that is sat top of the ladder. He's a top YouTube content creator. He's a good friend of mine. Always good value, his old Swoop. Swoop, welcome to the show, mate.
Mate, thank you so much for being on. I know we're trying to get this going for a few weeks, and I've got time. And Sunday, I can't think of a better way to chill out on a Sunday night than talking with you and the lovely people in the comment section.
Mate, you are a fan favourite in here. Do you know what I mean? You are a fan favourite. See, look, they all love you.
I'm just trying to sign into my YouTube account so I can start chatting to people.
But I mean, they all love you. But I mean, Swoop, right? This show is my favourite time of the week because we do something that no one else does, right? And this, Swoop, you'll like the look of this. So we go through every game this week, and we're only allowed to move teams up and down the ladder as we talk about the game. So we go game by game. We just talk about what we've learned from them. Are they good? Are they rubbish? But you'll see your mighty Magpies since round 2 have been dominating this power rankings.
That's where we are. It looks about right with the Magpies on top. The world's a better place when we're looking down on everyone else, you know.
Well, I mean, mate. We'll talk about that game in a minute. But I did go live for that game, and I've got to say, there is something ominous about you Pies at the minute. Do you know what I mean? You have players in and out of that side, and they're so well drilled. I have to say.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of people, you know, after the game and I guess during the game as well. And I was saying that in 2023, it felt like there was like a monkey on our back and we had to win that year. Like we had to win. Otherwise, you know, who knows what would have happened. But this year, it's more of the notion that we could win this year. Like it feels better than it did in 2023. It feels like we don't have that weight of expectation, even though we are, you know, first and playing great football. We don't have that weight of expectation, and we can go through the year resting players and trying to find the perfect mix until you get to August when you have to, you know, really, really crank it on. But it's it's beautiful. It's beautiful football to watch, and you know, I can't sit here and complain about it. That's for sure.
I've got to say, when I do watch Fly, I do believe Fly could ring me up tomorrow. Say, Pom, Darcy Moore's not fit this week. Do you want to go and help Frampton down back against North Melbourne? And he would actually have a plan to make me look like the best centre-half back in the league.
He would. He absolutely would. And that's, you know, I think that's something so good about Fly. And I remember, I'll tell you this, a little nice anecdote that I don't think I've talked about at all. So this is a Pom exclusive, I guess. I remember when we were looking for a coach, I remember getting I can't remember what match it was after, but I was getting a wine with Paul Lucuria, the vice president of the club, and he was talking to me about like the coach search and stuff like that. And he's like, he didn't say any names or anything, but he goes, "We want to find." He goes, have you watched Ted Lasso?" I'm like, yeah, you know, I love Ted Lasso, like a good show and good dude. He goes, that's who we're trying to find. We're trying to find our Ted Lasso, you know, Luke Beveridge, how he, you know, really ran on the emotion in 2016, took him to a flag. We're trying to find our, you know, Beveridge type Luke, Ted Lasso type coach. And then I remember, you know, we signed Craig McRae, and then a couple of months later, there was an article that went out on the Herald Sun calling him Craig Lasso or something. And I got a text and it said, it had the picture of that, screenshot of that. And he goes, "See, I told you." And I think that's what Fly does. He does get a team up, much like Ted Lasso does, and just the way he goes about it. Champion player, 3 premierships. He's got a good pedigree. Being coached and has worked with some of the best coaches ever in existence of the game. And we're reaping the benefits now.
He reminds me a lot of Jurgen Klopp, right? And what I mean by that is, as a Man United fan and being an Englishman, there's nothing I hate more than a German that's from Liverpool. And as a Carlton fan, obviously it's hard to like the Pies, obviously because there's the rivalry. But there is something incredibly likable about McRae. Like, when I hear him talk, I genuinely like the guy, and I want to hate him, but I can't. He's got a beautiful aura, I have to say.
He does, and I know some people. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I go on for that's where I get most of my news from and stuff. And I'll see, Fly came out against Geelong and he said, we might have lost, but we want to act like winners after a loss, and that was getting around Jack Crisp and stuff.
Yeah,
and you see people comment under those videos and under those things and just not understand the philosophy. And I don't know if you have to be in the Collingwood sanctum to kind of understand what he's saying. And if a one-off comment like that sort of rubs you the wrong way, because I saw a lot of but you'll look at the scoreboard, you lost, so you're losers. Well, there's a way to win, and there's a way to win when you lose, and there's a way to lose when you win. And I think that's what I think that's what Craig McRae does well. And you can see that in the ethos of the club and even our supporters as well.
I've got to say, I love that statement from him. And I was live for that game and as well. And I did say the way you got round Jack Crisp shows the togetherness of that group, because I'm a firm believer in how you act pays you back. And I know people like to hate the Pies, but I do think that kind of mindset of he's taken the shot, he's missed, but we lose together, we win together.
Yeah.
I think there's no surprise why you look so cohesive at the minute because of that ethos.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think a good example of, look, Pom, I tell you all the time, right? I love you so much, but I can't stand the Blues at all. And I don't bring them up because in conversation, I just bring it up because it's a good sort of example. But the best example I can think of was Mitch McGovern last year against the Pies, shot after the siren to win, misses. I didn't see the Blues players getting around him as much as we got around Crisp. You know what I mean? And I think that says a lot about, I know that was last year, so things might have changed with the culture and the ethos and stuff like that. But that's, you don't see that. What I'm trying to say is you just don't see that from every club. And you might think, if Sam Powell-Pepper missed, Port Adelaide would have got around him. Well, you don't really know that until it sort of happens. But I think with Collingwood, you will know 100% that that's always what's going to happen, because we've done it time and time again.
Mate, I agree with you. And honestly, full respect from my end. As Teresa, who's in chat.
I can see it.
I have got a massive Bobby Hill man crush, as she knows. When we watched the Adelaide game, I was saying Bobby Hill's my boy. He's my guilty pleasure. Is Bobby Hill.
Fantastic. That goal that he scored, Jesus Christ.
Guilty pleasure. But, we'll start with two teams that are hard to pick. But the Gold Coast got the win in Darwin. It's a fortress. Hawthorn had chances to win it. They lost. We've got them third at the minute, Gold Coast, and we've got Hawks seventh. Did we learn anything about these sides, though, Luke? Obviously, you top of the ladder. Did you look at Gold Coast and see a little bit of a worry there?
I didn't see a worry, but I saw a team that has finally, after a decade and a half, come to play football. And all it took was a premiership coach coaching them, and that's no disregard to Stewie Dew and stuff. He's been there before. He knows how to win, but he obviously didn't get the Suns up. But with Hardwick at the helm, and to beat Hawthorn, I know Darwin is a fortress and they've been there for 2 weeks, so they've acclimatized to the 50-degree, thanks, James. The 50-degree heat and the humidity and stuff. So I sort of get that, but it said a lot about their want and their will to win, and that they're I think that game just stamped them and said, we're here. We're not just backing up the numbers in the top 8 where, this might not be our year, but we're going to give it a red hot crack.
They're impressive, aren't they? And I mean, like Hawthorn, it's hard to read them, isn't it? They've got a few injuries. It's impossible to win at Darwin as well. Like I think we need to realise it maybe is impossible.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like Gold Coast have been up there for 2 weeks, so they know not only do they know the ground, they're acclimatized there. Hawthorn go up, and it's just kind of like when we went to Western Sydney in the opening round. Like I remember getting there, and I go, "Fuck, this is hot." Like I didn't realize Sydney could get this hot, and I was cramping up, and I was sitting on a chair. Could not think about running 14 kilometers and tackling and cramping up as well. But no, I think this game does say a lot about Hawthorn because they had chances to win. They didn't take them. And I think you said it best. I think it was on a footy abroad when you called them fraudthorn. And I think they're being found out at the minute.
There's a few frauds in that middle rank. Don't worry, there's a few. But Swoop, what do you think? Do you think we can put Gold Coast based on this game above Brisbane?
See, that's an interesting one because I was sitting down eating a pizza watching the Brisbane Melbourne game, and on their home turf, and I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. Look, I even though Brisbane are starting to falter just a little bit, especially against a team like Melbourne, I still don't think Gold Coast have done enough to go above the premiers at the moment, the reigning premiers. Sorry.
Do you know what I mean? Teresa wants it. She wants it. What?
I know. I want it too, but I just don't think just yet.
Well, I mean, you know what? Shall we do we look at Brisbane's 2 weeks in a row? They have been very poor.
Well, they have. Like, let me just get
because the draw against North worried me.
I was a draw against North last week. Yeah. And then
it does worry me.
2 bottom 4 sides, they miss out on 6 points in 2 weeks. What are they now? 8-1 and 7-1-2 Brisbane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Gold Coast
got Hawks next week.
Brisbane, and they got Hawks. Yeah. If Gold Coast plays Brisbane again right now, do Brisbane capitulate? That's you know what I mean?
Well, I think next week will be interesting if Hawthorn beat them.
Oh, if Hawthorn beat them, they're the Brisbane. We're going to say the Brisbane fraud Lions, but that doesn't make sense. They don't have a good fraud. You can't put the fraud in it. It doesn't have a good ring to it.
Fraudburn.
Fraud. You could do Fraudburn. You could do fraud. Didn't Brisbane? When was the last Q clash? Oh yeah, Brisbane won by 17 points, and Suns scored like one of their lowest of the year at 49 points. You know what? I think Gold Coast would beat Brisbane. Yeah, you know what? Put Suns above Brisbane now. I think T Mello has a good comment saying that they've had an easy draw.
They have had an easy draw, but I think they. Look, I always say this: you've got to beat who you've got to beat.
Well,
you've got to beat who's on. It's at the G, that game, Hawthorn. So Hawthorn will be very excited to entertain Brisbane back on their home deck. But Hawthorn, I think we should keep Hawthorn where they are.
7th, yeah, I think that seems about right for them at the moment.
And we'll see what the other teams do. But then we've got to talk about this game. Fuck me. My Blues, doing what the Blues do well. Play 2 quarters of football, and then they go sightseeing around the town centre in the second half. Swans, has to be said, were very, very, very ruthless when the game was there to be won. And more questions about the Blues. What did you take out of this game, Luke? Because, I mean, the way I feel, I could quite easily put Carlton 18th.
Well, look, I'll say this in the lead up to my thoughts. I watched the St Kilda Carlton game last week, And I was watching that, and I don't know if if I told you about it, but I was watching it, and I go, "Fuck!" I go, "These two teams aren't playing like finals are on the line," and that was last week. And then you look at this week against Sydney for 3 quarters. Both of the teams didn't look like they were finals sides until Sydney turned it on in that last quarter. And then Armadi is marking and kicking goals. Heaney just had one of the games of his career, if not one of the best games that we've seen in a Sydney Swans jumper. If he had have kicked straight, would have been even more incredible. But what I hate is when seasons are on the line and teams just don't rock up. In St Kilda today, Carlton as well. It doesn't make for good viewing. But I'm liking what the Swans did. But is that even sustainable for the Swans going forward?
I don't know. I mean, I look at the Swans and I think they get Golden back round 16, don't they? Who I think is huge.
Yeah, and they'll get Mills back soon as well.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Mills played the VFL against Carlton's VFL. He was all right. So, I mean, yeah, it's a tough one for Swan. You know what? I said this in my preview. I know everyone was saying the Swans are shit, but I was like, you watch their games. They've had runs in games where they could have won.
Yeah, they're not a bad side. They're just poorly executed to start the season.
So, I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I do think because Sydney have won, we have to put them above Carlton.
You have to. And I think because of the Giants loss, they could even just leapfrog. And I think keeping 8, 9, and 10 as Sydney, Giants, Carlton would because I was going to say, would you have Carlton over the Giants? And you probably would at this point because even the Giants were shit house. That's the next game we'll obviously be talking about, right? Fremantle.
Yeah, I mean, look, next week is the best game ever, isn't it? I mean, it's the Fraud City Derby, Carlton Giants.
Is that at the G?
I believe it's at Marvel. Perfect place for it. A fraud ground.
Yeah, it is Marvel. Yeah.
A fraudulent ground and two teams fighting to be the best of the frauds. It's a great game.
It's going to be this is one of the games where both teams will be trying their best to lose because it's just from what I've seen these last 3 weeks between all of those teams, Sydney, Carlton, Giants, and even St Kilda to a point, they just haven't been playing finals like footy. And you said it. You said it best after opening round when you said the Giants were a fraud and they had beaten Collingwood by 50 points. And now look at the seasons that we're both having. It's complete opposite up until this point. It's honestly a really, really weird season. Like I remember when I was watching that Carlton game. I was saying that, and look, you guys will say this sort of all the time to yourselves, and this is why you're beating yourselves over the head. But a team with, 2 Coleman medalists, a raft of first round draft picks, fucking 2 times Brownlow medalist, to put up what they did against Sydney, and a good first half, but then 2 goals in the second half. I don't know. There's some. I don't even have them below the Giants in this power ranking, and I don't think the Giants are any good either.
You know what? Look, I like it when it goes like this because then next week we have a game where we can actually fight these two.
Yeah. Yep.
You see, this is why we lost this week, chat, because you made me go. This is the chat's fault. Right, because I have this little rule: keep Carlton below the team we're playing, and we'll win. Right, and everyone said so. I like that sweep. That goes, but then we get to go to your team, right? So those who know me know as much as I love Carlton, Adelaide a second in my heart. They went and played yours. I was watching this game, and one thing I'll say. All the years I've watched sport, there's this thing, and I mentioned it in my review of your game today. Champion sides have this thing called perceived pressure. Yeah. And I watch it all the time with your mob. teams have a chance to beat you, but they get inside their own head because you come in. And it reminds me of Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls. You might be 10 points ahead. You know any second, though, they'll come. Man United in the 90s, Man City in the last decade. There's that kind of like fear factor of they'll have a moment. I was super impressed by the Pies. In this game, I was like, okay, they're the real deal. But I will say, Adelaide, they really impressed me. They really did impress me in this game because they had chances to win it, and their backline looks better as well. It looks like they're finding something. So I think they're the best of the rest.
Yeah, if Adelaide had knocked us off, I think people would have started taking them a little bit more seriously for a premiership tilt. But them losing by 10 points, I don't think it says anything less about the Crows. Like on a wet day, their forwards couldn't mark it and stuff like that. Like I understand that. And then, like you said, they had a bunch of shots from inside 35 meters that Rankin kicked 2 out on the full. I think it was Peatling that was right in front, and it hit towards the behind. They had a lot of chances. They're a good bloody side. I was so nervous going into this game. But you're right. It's a perceived pressure. It's getting inside your head because they know the last 4 games have been won by under a goal. So they know that it's going to be a close game. It's all, football. And we've talked about this so many times. Not so much that if you're off by 5%, you can lose by 70 points. It's if you're, it's played in the mind so much that you could be up by 25 points and go, oh shit, we need to kick another one here or they're going to come back. They're going to come back. They're going to come back. And then if 23 guys are thinking that at the same time, the Pies come back. And it's not like it's a one-off. We've been doing it for the last 4 years. So yeah, that perceived pressure, what you said is absolutely spot on for the Pies.
Yeah, and I agree with Ronnie here as well. I think as well, because you guys over the last couple of years as well have had that ability to win tight games. I think it all plays on your mind. I really do think it plays on the mind that there is a fear factor in that side. And look, I don't mind admitting it as a Carlton fan, even when we're ahead against you in games, it's definitely one of them games that I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I think that's what Collingwood have done well. I was just trying to Google. There's a psychology term for it. I can't remember what it is, and I'll find it and I'll let you know. But there's a term where it's just that sort of inner belief that you have, and I think the Pies really, really have it. That's like you saw, like even last year against North Melbourne. And I know, we shouldn't have been 52 points down to the side that's 18th on the ladder, but we were 50 points down to the side that's 18th on the ladder, and we came back and won. Like, some teams can just lower their heads, but we know that if we can get rolling, we can just absolutely go. A good example is the Geelong game a couple of rounds ago. 3.5 minutes left, we kicked 3 goals and we had a chance to win at the end of the game. So, it's belief is such a big part of the football psyche.
And Teresa's right. Look, I laughed at Billy Frampton on Phil Thorpe, and I'm not laughing anymore. Tell you what,
Premiership hero Billy Frampton.
Like I don't know what happened to Billy Frampton in that second half, especially as well. It felt like Phil Thorpe was going to get off the chain, and he towed him up. So shout out Billy Frampton. Tell you what, bro turned into fucking prime Alex Rance,
mate. We could see. Could you imagine the melts if we have 2-time premiership winner Billy Frampton by the end of the year?
So I tell you what, the way he did that job on Phil Thorpe, I've got to hand it to him because that was impressive. Hoops crew, good question. This cinnamon donut or jam?
Cinnamon, but only if it's hot cinnamon donuts from Donut King. No other cinnamon donuts will do.
Ooh, yeah, I'm with you there.
Very specific about my donut. I love donuts. I'm very specific about it.
Unfortunately, we can't put the Pies any higher. You're already number one. Adelaide, are we still having Adelaide above the rest of them teams?
100, but you couldn't. I think that top 6 is pretty sound as it is, and I know we'll talk about the games a little bit sooner, but I think, you know, based on this week which is what we're doing the power rankings on, you couldn't put Adelaide above the Doggies, you couldn't put them above Geelong, so I think staying put is pretty good.
And you mentioned Geelong, Hoops Crews in chat, an absolute peppering of Port Adelaide, and if you go back and watch my previews, I did say I thought Geelong were going to absolutely monster them, because Port Adelaide evidently only play football if there's some emotional attachment involved. If they're just playing a game, I don't trust them. But Geelong, back to their best. And would we say, if the Brownlow was voted for up till now, Bailey Smith probably is leading the Brownlow?
Yeah, I think, and I said this a few weeks ago as well. We will get a Brownlow medal winner that we don't expect. I don't, you know, people are still saying Nick. I don't think Nick's anywhere near it at the moment. Jordan Dawson played really well against us. He could get maybe a vote there, but Bailey Smith has just been the signing of the year, and we knew this going in. It's not like he was a shit player at the Western Bulldogs and the Cats have reinvented him. We just hadn't seen him for a couple of years because of that, you know, the ACL and the injuries and stuff and everything else that sort of went on. Fantastic player, absolutely fantastic. You know, we say it every year. This Geelong side, or not even a side, just this Geelong team, just keep topping up. They keep fucking topping up and keep going. It's kind of like, Pom, you know, when you have like a when you have a plant, right? Or we'll say a plant. When you have a plant, you're growing a plant. And you want new leaves to sprout, and the leaves on top are sort of getting old. They still look okay, but they're still getting old. And instead of and you see the stem sort of dying, and instead of pulling out the whole plant and starting again, you start chopping out the stems, you start cutting off the bad leaves, and then everything else sort of sprouts up. Put a bit of new fertilizer on there, and that's what Geelong do every single time. They just toil their soil, and fucking it just shoots up. And I give that analogy because I was just watching Clarkson's farm before we started, so I'm all up in my farming analogies at the moment. So got to toil that soil, and Geelong, they've got something in their soil. Let me tell you.
Part of me thinks that the grand final will be Collingwood and Geelong. Like,
oh, mate, I do not know what I would do if that happens.
Like, because everyone keeps talking about, you know, old clubs. Everyone's obsessed with you're too old. I just feel both of them sides are going to show their experience.
Yeah, it's it would be. God, I don't even want to think about it. Like, that just gives me 2011 vibes, and I just can't do that. Can't do that to myself.
Would we have Geelong above the Dogs?
Nah, not even up. Not what. Oh my God, not after what they did to Essendon. I know Geelong had a really, really good win, but what the Doggies were able to do to Essendon was not what Geelong did to Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide are just shit, right? I understand that. But Essendon were, you know, coming off a win against the Swans, a good win against the Swans, trying to tell the AFL world, hey, we're here, we're ready to go. And then to kick, what was it, 2 goals by halftime or 1 goal by halftime? The Doggies just absolutely, it was just night for them.
I've got to say, we're coming on to the Essendon game in a minute, but I've got to say, I blame John Ralph for the Essendon game because...
Ralphie?
Yeah, because Ralphie pushed the narrative that Carlton had the best defence in the league. And then we got hammered by Adelaide. And last week he hammered that Essendon's defence is the most improved in the league and people need to be wary of them. And then they lost. So I actually reckon it's him.
Yeah, it's he's got the stat, what would you call it? The stat of death, or the kiss stat of death. So if Ralphie starts talking good about your team, you're going to lose that week.
Mate, you just want to be careful that he doesn't make a post about how you managed to keep the most free scoring side to 60 this week.
Yeah. Far out. It's gonna,
because you might lose next week if he does that. But Port Adelaide, you know what? I'm going to make a big call here. I think Port needs to go here.
Yeah, I was just about to suggest. Oh my god, suggest that after what Freo and Melbourne did. Man, Port Adelaide have been so disappointing. And when you have someone, and I guess Collingwood sort of experienced it. I don't know if Carlton had it with their presidents, but Collingwood sort of experienced it with Eddie, where they have a bit of an outspoken president. But when Koshy said, you know, what's his face is staying for the whole, Hinkley's staying for the whole season, we're not going to get rid of him, that puts them all into a box. I think they just needed a clean cut. Succession plans never, ever, ever work. Never, ever do they work. That he just should have looked at, you know, Collingwood to see what our succession plan looked like. And Josh Carr, you know, he has to fucking deal with this. He has to see his team get decimated before he takes them over at the end of the year. I think that's pathetic by the Port Adelaide board.
You know what? We talked about this last week. I had a sneaky feeling that he will hand it over this year. I think they'll just find a way to try and make it play. I have this sneaking suspicion that he might be the Tassie coach. And they announced that, and then he steps down to save face and says, "Oh, look, I don't want to do double dip, so I'm preparing for Tasmania, and Josh has got it from now till the end of the year."
Interesting. So who said that in the comments? Gavin. So you reckon something around the bye then would probably be the best? You're not going to do it in round 18.
Yeah, because I just feel that if you can't sack him, can you? That's the problem. Like,
no, you can't sack him. Yeah,
like it's a whole pass, isn't it? So he's got to kind of find a way to save face.
Do you think the players are playing for him or they're checked out?
You see, look, I agree with Damien. I think they've checked out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like he needs to be front and center. Like he needs to be front and center, Josh Carr. And I think Hinkley, I thought it was mental when they said they'd done it. Like, in my opinion, it should have just been Josh Carr does it now. We're aiming to not be bottom 4.
Yep.
And just lower the expectation. But it felt like they wanted to have one more crack at the 8. But if it didn't go wrong, we've already sacked Hinkley anyway because Josh Carr's here. So it felt like they were trying to have their cake and eat it.
Yeah, and we can't be doing that. It's kind of like, and I think who just said it? Damien, said it right where he said that he's already checking out counting his super. I remember when I quit my my job at the blinds company last year, I had to give what did I have to give? 3 weeks notice or 2 weeks notice or something. And for those 2 weeks, I did sweet fuck all. I was doing nothing, doing the bare minimum and still getting paid, answering a couple of phones, saying this, saying that, hanging out with my mates. And that's what looks like Ken Hinkley's doing. He's just literally phoned it in.
Mate, honestly, the best thing in the world is when you handed your notice because you just do fuck all and like what they're going to do, sack you.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
All the power. Well, then we get to talk about my favourite team to talk about, right? GWS Giants. The most Fremantle thing you will ever see, right, is them going to Sydney after the last couple of weeks and then them winning. Fremantle must be the hardest team to pick because 1 minute they're brilliant, next minute they're shocking. Their high to low makes Carlton look consistent.
Yeah, it's and all you have to do is look at the last, few weeks. So they get pummeled by St Kilda, nearly beat Collingwood, and then smash the Giants on their home deck. It doesn't, does this game say more about Freo or does it say more about the Giants being frauds?
Oh, mate, I think both of these teams are huge frauds as well. But I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I've got to give it credit though to Fremantle. Like that was gutsy.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Like their last couple of weeks have been abhorrent. in fairness to them. I mean, Fremantle, I still don't think they're an 8 side, but I do feel like Fremantle have to come into that middle tier, probably above Saints. Wouldn't you?
Because of that win. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Essendon. Yeah, we'll talk about Essendon in a second. Yeah, I think for now they would have to slide into 11th, and then those two move down. Yep.
And obviously GWS. I mean, GWS are the most annoying side in the league because on paper, this is why it always annoys me because I'm good at finding frauds being a Carlton fan because all you ever hear is, oh, Carlton's team on paper is good. And like, I always rein Terry in and say it's a shame it's the Football League, not the Origami League. And that's the same with GWS. Like on paper, that team looks tidy. In reality, it's incredibly beatable.
Yeah, it's and we've said it all along. They've got, to put up what they did against us in opening round. They've got good players just coming out of everywhere, but for some reason, these last few weeks, or this last month or so, they just haven't been gelling, and they've been losing games where they should be winning, and they should have put Fremantle to bed, And again, it's about if you're 5% off, if every player in the 22 is 5% off, that's like 110% off a game of football. That's a lot of. I'm not a mathematician, but that's a lot of percentages.
There is a lot of percentages. I mean, I was speaking to Daz Talks Footy about this. It does feel like, and if you look at our power rankings as well, no one wants 8th.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to see. Actually? Let me get the. I don't even have the ladder up at the moment. Who's sitting 8th at the moment? Giants.
It's the Giants, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like I think the top 7 is locked in. I genuinely think the 8th, like, just no one seems to want 8th.
Yeah, and like if the game stopped now, the 8th team, whoever it is, so at the moment it could be, let's just say Giants, Dockers, Bombers, Blues. No, we'll just say Dockers, Bombers, and Giants for that 8th spot because they're all on the same amount of wins. You're playing the Western Bulldogs who just chopped the head off Essendon and were playing soccer with it. Like, you don't want that in the first week of an elimination final,
Mate, I agree. It's a bizarre season that no one seems to want to be 8th. And we'll talk about them. The dogs have surprised me all year, just how they got over not having their best team out there. Now the Arsenal is returning. They're playing some scintillating football. I know everyone's going to say it's just Essendon, but I will counter that. Essendon have been quite rigid over the last couple of weeks. I don't think this was as foregone as most people would make out. But
yeah,
the dogs were they were terrifyingly good.
And to think that, like you said, the Dogs have been doing this without some of their better players, but they're getting them back now. But to think that they're putting up a score like this, and for the last few weeks, without Darcy up front. Like, they've got Buku Karmas, who is a great defender, but now he's a great forward all of a sudden. Like, if I was a Doggy supporter, I'd be buying a lotto ticket, or at least making sure my late September is free, because they are a scary, scary, scary. So I love, you said the Crows are your second favorite team. I love the Doggies a lot. And that's because I've got a couple of cousins and family members that support the Doggies. But I love everything. I love the way that they go about it. And whenever all these injuries happen, especially at the start of the year when they were losing a couple of matches and stuff, I didn't see any Doggies supporters or the Doggies themselves put their heads down and say, whoa, woe is me. We got a couple of players out. Luke Darcy just did his knee. Sam Darcy just did his knee, blah, blah, blah. Head down in the sand, and we'll let the season happen. They go, okay, let's change this, do that, bang, 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 bang. And now Luke Beveridge looks like a fucking elite chess player. Carlson Magnuson fucking playing football at the moment, coaching football at the moment.
Mate, I agree. Big ethnics in chat. Look, I agree with you, ethnic. I hate that defense metric because it doesn't tell you anything other than they haven't conceded goals at the time. But I mean, for Essendon watching this game, and I agree with Team Mello as well, when a halfback flanker has just under 50 touches, it genuinely explains how shit your pressure is.
Yep.
And it did worry me when I was watching the Bombers because it felt like they'd really checked out very quickly in this game.
The Bombers checked out quickly.
Yeah, it felt like the Bombers had hit the run home to mum about 5 minutes into the second.
Yeah, and there's only so much that poor Zach Merritt can do. Like, how many times has Zach Merritt grabbed this team by the scruff of their neck and pulled them over the line? You can't pull a team when they're 9-0, whatever that insane score was in the second quarter. You can't grab your team and help them out. He did as much as he could. And yeah, it's I don't know. It must suck being an Essendon, supporter, like seeing, and it kind of like Fremantle in a way, just seeing the fluctuations from this year, when you were supposed to have a good year. But then you look at, Brad Scott earlier saying, didn't he say we're almost in a rebuild?
Yeah.
But then they start winning games, and then it's not a rebuild. Then they start losing games, and it's, oh, hang on a second. It's like you're playing mental table tennis with their supporters, and you got to feel for them at some point. I mean, it's funny, but you still got to feel for them.
Mate, I mean, this is an interesting one, this, isn't it? To answer your question, Phil, how do I feel about losing Kennedy? Dennis, sorry. Look, I've said it for years with Matt Kennedy. He never had a role at Carlton. I mean, Michael Voss used to play him at halfback for times. Like, he was always the just stopgap for the Blues. I'm really happy for him because I'm a firm believer, like what we said about Collingwood. If you give a decent player a defined role, they'll flourish. And I think that's what Beveridge is doing. He just literally gives them a defined role, and it allows them to flourish.
Yeah, and I guess, not one to harp on everything and bring it back to Collingwood, but talking about players in defined roles and flourishing, look at Ned Long in Hawthorn's system and look at Ned Long in Collingwood's system, plays the role that he's meant to play, and he's going to probably in a couple, maybe in a year, by the end of the year, he'll contest John Newcomb as one of the best mid-season draftees, albeit he was already on an AFL list before the mid-season draft, but that's second chance.
Mate, I agree. You see, letting Kennedy go, look, I said it at the time, you never see, he'd never play that role for Carlton. He'd never play it, so I'm glad he's playing football. And look at Ned Long at Hawks, never got that opportunity.
Yeah,
killing it at your place.
Yeah, exactly right. And sometimes, and how many times, Pom, do we say, sometimes players just need a change of scenery for them to thrive? And look at John Noble at the Suns and what he was able to do. We always know he was a good player, but for him to sort of become a leader in that team, it's you love to see it as much as it sucks. And Jared Witt's the same from Collingwood. As much as it sucks seeing a player of your own club, from your own club, do better somewhere else, it's like seeing an ex that you weren't happy with, but they're with someone else now and they're happier. You go, oh, that sucks that you didn't feel that with me, but I'm glad that you're happy now.
Mate, that's very mature. That I can't say that I don't stalk my exes and. There it is. But no, I agree with you. Essendon, right? Where are we putting them? We've moved, the doggies, we're keeping them at 4th, are we?
Yeah, I don't think that. Oh, fuck. Yeah, no. We'd have to keep them at 4th at the moment.
And Essendon,
Yeah, I think based on this week, based on Melbourne's win against the Lions, they'd have to go below Melbourne.
Would you have them above or below Port?
I was just thinking that. I don't know, like let me just look at Port's week last week.
Because
they lose by 5 points.
Because we know Essendon beat Port.
Yeah. No, I think that is locked in 14-15.
There we are. All right. Well, there we are. And then we come on to probably the game of the round. Really, Richmond North, two sides battling it out. And you know what? North did well to get the win. One of the question marks I've had on North is their ability to see something out. Yep. And I was genuinely impressed when I watched that this afternoon, that I did think they were going to fully implode, and they managed to find a way, and a much needed win.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the bits. I didn't watch the full game, but I enjoyed the bits and pieces of that game when I was watching it. I was listening to it on the radio as well. You know, I got to give credit to Richmond. You know, some people at the start of the year said that they weren't going to win a game all year and stuff like that, and they've just been proven the media and stuff wrong, and they've got such a good core team of youngsters that have only played 10 games together now. But the Kangaroos, wasn't it that's their first win this decade in the at MCG?
It's like crazy, isn't it? That start. To be fair though, they never play there, do they?
That's true as well. So whenever they play there, it is against when Richmond are on their 3 flags and when the Pies are up and whoever, you know, probably Carlton, you probably play them at the G as well, maybe. So yeah, so they don't play, but it's still a wild stat. But yeah, I was happy that they got the win, that they ran it out, and this happens to teams that are on the bottom of the ladder towards the middle of the season, and we saw it a bit last year as well, where the youngsters have, you know, half a dozen games, 8 games, 10 games into them, and they start maybe not winning all the time, but they start coming good towards the middle of the year because they have all of these, you know, 3 training sessions a week together and stuff, and it's starting to pay dividends. I think it would have been unjust if North lost another close game after, you know, last week's draw. But yeah, no, credit to them. You'd probably have to put them over Richmond, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, isn't it? But I mean, you've got to give North a reward, haven't you? They haven't had much. You know what, though? I want to say this about Richmond. What really impresses me about Richmond is a little bit like Hawthorn's rebuild. They are playing the game style for 5 years' time. Like I really enjoy watching Richmond play football because it's not safe. They could easily just flood the corridor, slow the game down, but they give it a go. And I think it might have been their detriment in this game.
Yeah, and I think, man, Uze, you know, there was even a knock on Uze at the start of the year. And I think that's the problem with media at the moment, is that, and we talk about it all the time on Footy Abroad, is that we don't give teams or coaches or players the ability to breathe. It's just one and done. Oh, he's had a bad 2 weeks. He's done. You know, we don't give them an opportunity to breathe. Let's go and look at, you know, Richmond after their mid-season bye, and then have a look at them. But you're right. Like, they've recruited really well. They're a great looking side. Like, they've got insanely incredible kids, and I guess the same can be said about North Melbourne as well. But these are the newer kids, you know. Yeah, I'd be scared in a couple. If Tassie weren't coming around, I'd be scared of what Richmond and North Melbourne can bring in 3 years' time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Richmond are doing it. It was gutting they lost this game. Like, I wouldn't ever pull for a team that's not mine, but part of me wanted Richmond to get up. I just really admire the way they play.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same way. I wanted Kangaroos to win, but I wanted Richmond to win just because they kept they kept fighting all that day. They were coming back from 4 goals down, and yeah, it was just a, you know what, it probably was one of the games of the round, unironically.
It was a real good game. And then we came to one of the more bizarre games, Oscar McInerney late out. Right? Late out.
Yep.
And I was genuinely worried about, I know everyone's getting really hyped about Melbourne winning this, but I was thinking they were literally using a 4th string ruckman at Geelong as their ruck against arguably the best ruckman of the last 50 years. And they only just got up, which I think says, I watched this game and thought, this says more about how poor Melbourne really are. But for some reason, the media has made out like this is one of the most super wins of the ages.
Yeah, look, I feel the same. I feel the same way. I think it's a hard one. Like we talked a little bit about this earlier. Like what does it say more for? You know, Fremantle or the Giants, and now it's like, you know, Brisbane on their home deck in that last quarter. I'm just looking at the stats now. In that last quarter, they conceded, what's that, 8, 9, 10, 11. They conceded 12 scoring shots for 4 goals, 8 in a quarter of football. And they only kicked 1 goal, 1. They had 2 scoring shots as opposed to 14 in that last quarter. And they were up by, you know, almost, you know, 20 points, let's say 14 points or whatever it is. And that's why I think Brisbane are starting to falter a little bit, because good teams don't do that. They don't capitulate like that. Like they might lose, but not 14 scoring shots to 2 on your home deck. That's you know, that's embarrassing. But Melbourne, yeah, I can see why the media are sort of hyping up that win, and it was a great win. Was it the best win? Probably not. But when you have Max Gawn in your ruck against not a real good ruckman, it's a cheat code, isn't it?
I mean, it helps. It helps, doesn't it? I mean, but yeah, I'm with you. Like I know the media like to hype it up, and fair play, Melbourne got it done. But
yeah,
I didn't think it was as convincing. Like if you told me that they would have 46 hit outs, Max Gawn did, a depleted Brisbane, I would have thought it. But I suppose we've got to move Melbourne up because they have beaten 3rd on the ladder. They definitely go above the Saints for now. Do they go above Fremantle?
No, I don't think that. Oh, but they beat the reigning premiers on their home deck. No, but they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything else to sort of put themselves up there.
Do you know what I mean?
I think Melbourne 12 sounds right.
Yeah, you know what? I do love Ethnic. He's our resident Essendon fan. I feel for you, mate. I do feel for you. And I can't wait to talk about this game, right? Because we've got a good mutual friend, Jake. God bless him. He's got battered by the worst team in the comp. And they did it for Selwood, didn't they? Like there was a real, watching this game, there was a real emotional connection in the Eagles, and it felt inevitable, didn't it? It really did feel inevitable when I was watching this game that the Eagles were going to win this.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to my mate, Sammy, who's on the Saints TV podcast, and we went to watch Mission Impossible the other day, and I go, how do you feel about, you know, coming up against the Eagles? Should be a decent win at least. He goes, Luke, this is a banana peel game for us. He goes, I'm fully expecting, and St Kilda fans are fully expecting to lose this game. Like the fans were already going in with we're going to lose this game mentality. So if they're going in with that, either St Kilda went in with, they might knock us off, or St Kilda went in with, off the stadium, walk in the park, 40 points, get back home to Melbourne. They either overestimated or underestimated their own abilities. And the Eagles saw that, and, you know, the unfortunate passing of Selwood, and we send our love and condolences to his family. That just spurred him on, and Pommy, we've been talking about this all day. That extra 5% or being 5% down, that was exactly what the belief that the Eagles needed in themselves to prop themselves up and get over the top of a team who wanted to play serious football and aren't playing serious football at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the Saints. You know, one thing that disappoints me with the Saints is, with a Ross team, they're going to be hard to break down. And against us and against the Eagles, it looked like they are reluctant to take risks. And when you've got Jack Sinclair having nearly 40 touches, your Ruckman having nearly 30 touches, Wanganeen having 30 touches nearly, McRae having nearly 30 touches, and to lose it comfortably, I think says everything that's wrong. And my question marks on like 4 teams in that bottom 10 are Carlton, Fremantle, Melbourne, and Saints. That all 4 of them have no any form of attacking nous. They would rather play safe and play the percentages than ever take the game on.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I saw that last week when Carlton were playing the Saints. It was just that both teams looked like they didn't want to win the game. When Carlton were up by, 2 goals, and St Kilda went into footy saving mode when they should have been trying to win the game. I just don't understand. And I love Ross as a coach, as a person as well, the way he goes about it on the footy field and impresses and stuff like that. But to batter Fremantle by 70 points and then to lose your next 2 games at the way that they have against a Carlton team who, you'll say it as well, aren't any good, and a West Coast side who haven't won a game, that says, does he not have the personnel, Pom, or is the game plan just shit house?
Genuinely, I will say, if you're a Carlton fan and you're honest, the St Kilda game and the Sydney game are exactly the same game for the Blues. The difference being Sydney took the game on in the 4th and Saints were like, hopefully Carlton will kick 55 behinds and they'll win it for us. So I think it's genuinely system. I think Ross, he must be telling the players not to take the game on. Don't take risks because they're so safe.
But is he saying that because he knows that they just can't take risks because they're not a good footballing side? They don't have the personnel that can take risks. That has to be it. Otherwise, why would you tell your team not to win a game? Not to win it, not to, take the game by the scruff of the neck.
I just feel like there's a lot of old school coaching in this league at the minute from the 4 teams we've mentioned that are living in like the 90s of play the system so you don't lose too much and you can control everything and control wins your games. I think when you look at the top 6 on our ladder versus them 4 teams, Carlton, Fremantle, Melbourne, and Saints, the big difference is that they control the chaos, the top 6 teams.
Yeah.
I feel like them 4 teams like to control the narrative in the game. So, like for Carlton, they want to win it around the contest. They want to be hard to beat. Saints, they want to be rigid in their system. Fremantle, they want to control the possession of the football. Melbourne, they want to dominate in stoppage and centre clearance. Where them top 6 sides, I think they can beat you in 6 different ways. Like we saw it this week. Adelaide beat you around stoppage, right? Which is not usually Adelaide's big strength, but you killed them on turnover, which ironically is Adelaide's big strength. It's like you swapped roles. But I'd say them top 6 are like so adaptable in game. They can beat you anyway.
Yeah.
Where I feel like everyone from 9 down, really, they've only got one method to beat you.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And you just have to look at I think this round sort of says that for you when you look at it, and how we adapt, like how Collingwood adapted without their best defender, and we had 10 goal kickers. How we're adapting with no big forward. You look at the Doggies, how they're adapting without Darcy, and they're winning it in other ways instead of just kicking it long and hoping Darcy, clunks them and kicks 4 or 5. And the same with the Gold Coast Suns. They're just a team of, battlers almost. And I don't know. And I don't know. I want the Saints. I thought this was going to be, when I did the ladder this year, I had the Saints above Port Adelaide and above the Giants. So I thought they were going to slide in 7th or 8th. I thought they were going to be, but I know Ross is the guy for them. He just has to change his method.
Yeah, and you know one thing, I say this about Saints all the time. I think outside of Nasir, and maybe Sinclair, and I like Sinclair, but St Kilda fans came for me in my review because I said if Jack Sinclair can score goals from stoppage, Chad Warner's 10 times the footballer of Sinclair. I think Sinclair's a really good footballer, but I don't think he's a star. I think they lack A-graders, and this isn't a pot shot at them because they're coming for TDK, but I genuinely question why they are wanting a TDK. I feel like their needs are a Zach Butters. Someone like that, like some elite midfielders.
Yeah, because what's the point of having, arguably a guy who's going to be the best ruck in the game tapping to no midfielders that are going to use the ball well? Yeah. Like Jack Steele won't be there for long. Naz might even go to Port Adelaide if he sees that this is the trajectory St Kilda are on. So who's TDK gonna tap to? You'd rather Rowan Marshall tapping to Butters, Rose, whoever's out of contract, and another guy there. You could split. What are they offering TDK? Let's just say it's 1.5, right? For example, wouldn't you rather get 2 800K midfielders than one ruckman? Is how I would see it if I was the same.
Mate, I'm with you. Like I've said it at length. I understand why they want TDK. I understand it, but like in my opinion, I'd be, if I was them, I'd be throwing 1.7 at Butters. That I'd be like, let's get him through the door. Let's get him. But again, it's fascinating. Who are the top 4 players of the Saints? Nas, Sinclair. Suppose would I count Steele?
I'd count Steele. I'd put Steele in top 4.
Cal Wilkie.
Yeah. Probably Marshall.
Higgins. Marshall.
Oh, Higgins. Look, they do have and this is what a lot of teams from 8 to 18, let's say, don't have. They have a good top 6 players, fantastic. Their middle sort of players are good, but then it's their bottom players that were absolutely, you're just as good as your bottom 6, right?
That scares me if that's a thing.
That what?
That scares me if that's how we judge your list, your bottom 6. I might have to move us just below Eagles then. I said, look, with this game, I can't move the Eagles above Richmond, even though they've won.
No. The Eagles stay where they are.
But good win, Saints. I'm looking at them, and do they stay where they are?
I know they lost to the Eagles, but is their loss to the Eagles worse than Essendon kicking 2 goals for a half and having, I know Essendon didn't field their strongest side, because of injuries and stuff. But their midfield was probably their most experienced midfield that they've had all year, I think. Maybe Ethnic can tell us.
I don't want to make Ethnic's day any worse. Mate, if we're judging the bottom six, the fact that Carlton have got Francis Evans, we have to have a serious conversation about moving Carlton, I tell you. But I think we should keep it. I think
that looks good like that.
What, Damien, are you suggesting it looks like this? If my wife comes in and I've done that, I might be divorced because of you, Damien. Just so you know. Are you gonna write my fucking Tinder profile for me? Are you, Damien? You don't.
I don't think that's what it looks like.
Look, you know what? As much as I hate to say it, I will say this: like them 4 teams I've picked on tonight: Carlton, Fremantle, Melbourne, and Saints. At the worst case, they will be 10, 11, 12, 13. Because of the system they play, they'll always pick up 8 wins minimum.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't think their game style is good enough to win 14 to 16 games.
Yeah, and that's, and you need 14 wins to at least be competing for that 8th spot.
Do you know what I mean? I'm old school. If you're not top 4, basically you just got a participation ribbon.
Yeah.
So there we are. That is that. But then we get to move on to good fun things. Now, I saw Woody is in chat. So, Swoop, this is the best game. And as chat will tell you, I am the best in the world at giving clues. Right? But this time last week, we came on this show and I said 6 is possible. That's 1 player guessed every 10 seconds. Right? So what we do is I will give you clues. And basically the clues will range from wordplay to bit of charades, might be a little bit of pop fiction. So like Nick Dacos, I'll say. Hey, up.
Yeah.
He's just left. So, like, it might be like, and name a player, and I'll say, it'll be Josh Dacos' brother, and you'll go Nick Dacos, right?
Yeah.
So, you get a minute, right? We are doing something that we don't always do. We are doing midfielders, right?
Okay.
So,
I just want chat to know that
going to be midfielders.
Yeah.
And
I just quickly want chat to know that I don't know any other players besides Collingwood players, so this is going to be fun.
Oh, chat will help you, right? Chat will help you, right? Because chat are the best.
All right, let's do it.
Right, chat are the best, right? So let me just bring the countdown timer. So chat, I want you to help him because you've helped the others. We're going to try and go for 6. We're going to go for 7. Right? We're going to go for 7. So there you are. There's your minute. Right? Are you ready, Swoop?
Okay, hang on. Let's do it.
Centered. Right. You ready?
Go.
All right, cool. Right, here we go. First player. He sounds Italian, plays for the Dogs. Everyone says he's the best player in the league. Yeah. Next one. He got punched by Andrew Gaff. Plays for Fremantle.
Brayshaw. Hamish. Gus Brayshaw. No, not Brayshaw. Andrew Brayshaw.
Yeah. We just talked about him. He should move to St Kilda. Plays for Port. You put him on toast. Yeah. He's winning the Brownlow. He's got long blonde hair. He's a good-looking boy.
Smith.
He's the best player at Carlton on form. And he's not Patrick Cripps.
Oh, fuck.
Plays in the field.
George Hewitt.
He again sounds Italian. He's Marcus Bontempelli's right-hand man in the midfield.
Liberatore.
Yeah. He used to play for the Doggies, now plays for Brisbane. Started so I finish. His surname sounds like what happens when you put a biscuit in tea. And how you score 2 points in basketball when you jump in the air. Brisbane midfielder used to play for the Doggies.
Brisbane midfielder. Oh, fuck. Brisbane midfielder used to play for the Doggies. Where's chat on this one? Dunkley.
Yeah,
Dunkley.
There we are. We've got 7.
Yeah. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Yes, Woody. I know you're in the chat, Woody. 7, baby.
Tell you what, chat. That's a world record. Told you it was possible. Told you it was possible. And look, maybe it's me being sick. The clues are better when I'm sick.
Oh, I think my because I live in a bunch of units, so I think I'm gonna get the cops called on me in a second. Oh, I'm out of breath. Fuck me,
mate. That was the best thing I've ever seen. Well, I mean, that was fantastic. That swoop. But then we're talking about Woody. We've got the Creator Supercoach Challenge, right? The Creator Supercoach Challenge. Now, our friend Woody, he had a bit of a bad time this week because one of the dickheads scored 22 points, but he only scored 662. So he doesn't make our leaderboard, but you'll see Dylan Follows Draft is leading this. We've got Bomber Banter third. We've got Navy Blue Connor second. And we asked Swoop to pick a team. And here is his team. Take us through it, Swoop.
All right. So the Collingwood fans in the chat are going to love this. So I've got and let me just get the games up so I can explain why I picked them around the fixture as well. So I've got Dale in there. I think that's pretty much a given. I know he's not going to get 49 again, but he plays against the Cats this week off that half back line. I think he's going to be able to sort of mop it all up, and that goes hand in hand with why I've picked Bailey Smith in the midfield as well. I know that I probably shouldn't have done a Cats and a Bulldogs player, but I do think that they're two of the standouts over the last few weeks for both of their teams, and I do feel like they're going to score pretty highly, especially Smith. You know, Brownlee Smith is going to score pretty high. Josh Dacos, any Collingwood player off the half back line really. Against North Melbourne. The beauty about having Houston and Perryman down back is that Josh Dacos can be very damaging off that back line. His connection in the wet was incredible, so I can only imagine what his connection in a dry, humid Marvel Stadium is going to be like. I know we had a big crack at Port Adelaide, but I put Ollie Wines in there, their top scorer in a shit side against the Cats. I think he's going to do wonders against Fremantle. Cameron, so Geelong Cameron. How can you sort of not put him in there? Kick 7 on the weekend. I think, you know, obviously Rory Lobb will go on to him. I don't think he's going to kick 7. I think he might kick 4 or 5 on Lobb. And now for the Magpies in the chat, I've put Charlie West in there. I've got him making his debut against the Kangaroos and kicking 3 goals. So that'll be pretty good. And then I've got Carlton boy, because I thought I was coming on to Pommy's show. I've got TDK in there because now you're probably thinking, why have I got TDK in there? He was injured and Carlton how Carlton are. But you guys play the Giants at Marvel. You're going to monster. TDK's going to monster the Giants. Who do the Giants play in their ruck? I know he got smashed.
Matt Flynn.
Who is it?
Matt Flynn.
Yeah, exactly. Who the fuck is
exactly?
Matt Flynn? Yeah. So TDK is going to absolutely just trounce him. Yeah, Matt Lang, Maxi Gorn would have been a good one. that would have been good against the Swannies. But I think TDK against the no-name Matt Flynn is just gonna monster them.
Sorry, it's Kieran Briggs, actually. Flynn's gone to Eagles, but same concept. Don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Don't know who he is. I mean, I appreciate you slagging him off because that now means he's going to have 75 hit outs and turn into prime Dean Cox. I can't wait for that.
And just for Izzy, the joke didn't go over your head. We obviously didn't have any clue who the Giants play in their ruck. So
that's on me. It's man flu brain. It's man flu brain. I somehow stepped into 2023. I was like, it's a total different year. Everything's good. I do like the Charlie West shout. Charlie West was one of my boys in the draft, so I'm looking forward to seeing Westonhausen. He's been good in the VFL, hasn't he, Old West?
He's averaged 3.5 goals for the last 5-6 games, so that's incredible. As a pick 50, I'm anticipating this team to get me about, if I'm going to be honest, maybe a 728. Write that down. That's going to be my prediction. 728.
Jesus, I tell you what, I mean, pies are taking over at the minute. They're taking over.
That's everyone averaging 100. So we'll fucking see.
Well, I mean, we've got the best one. We saved the best till last. So Woody only tipped 3 this time last week. Had a shocking tip, so he will go 4th on our leaderboard. But he's in good company, right? Because we have a free tipping league here, and you'll see Pom only got 3 as well.
Oh, there you
go. Because evidently I'm an idiot. And if we go and have a look at what people did this week, I do believe someone got 7 when I was checking. Yeah, Paul, if you are in chat, you're a genius. You were the best. You got 7.
Paul. What did I get?
Big shout out to Claire if she's watching. She's finally caught Methodical Flame. Tied it up now, 65. Peter Haywood and Jan all leading him. So all catching him up. So that's good to see. But Swoop, before we finish, we always like to ask you who you're tipping next week. I'm just a back marker here. I've already had my time in the sun, but the first game next week, Cats, Dogs, who are you going with here?
Well, I'm going to do my tipping as I do your tipping, so I don't forget. I'm gonna go with. I know it's at GMHBA, but I just at this point I can't tip against the Doggies by 15 points. I've got them.
So you're going the Dogs?
Yep.
Mate, love it. You know what? I'll as a marker, I'll follow you in. The Doggies. Bombers, Tigers. This is an intriguing one.
This is an intriguing one because much like St Kilda West Coast, this could be Essendon's banana peel game. I think they'll try to overcorrect too much. And Richmond just sort of go into next week knowing that they could have probably beaten Kangaroos. I'm gonna have to tip the Tigers at the MCG on a Friday night.
Mate,
the primetime Tigers,
Mate, you know what? For a bit of a laugh, I'm going to tip against you. I'm going to go Bombers on that one.
Here we go.
Oh, man, big shout out to Ethnic. I'll ride that wave with you, my friend. I'll ride it. Then the Blues versus GWS Frauds. 2 teams.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go the Giants here. I have no faith. I have no faith in the Blues, Bomb.
Freaking you don't. Can I just say this is a game that I have been looking not forward to for weeks, purely because
you've been calling them frauds since the start of the year.
Yeah, you know what's weird about it as well is GWS fans have started to come out of the locker room having pot shots at me, and I didn't even fucking know they had fans. Like, genuinely, when I started this rivalry with Giants, I thought, worst case scenario, I might get appeared on their shitty little media. But I didn't realise fans would come after me. But they are. I'm going to have to tip the Blues in. They are. Because it wouldn't be my show if I fucking tip the Giants. This is probably the tie of the round, the Hawthorn Lions. Both teams coming off losses. Both teams need a win. This is an intriguing one in its swoop.
Yeah, I'm looking at MCG at a weird time, 4:15. Hawks play so well at the G. Fuck, but the Lions need to. The Lions. Remember when they went through that patch where they just weren't winning at the MCG? I don't think I can go past. I don't think I can go past Hawthorn. But this game will sort of either accentuate Brisbane's cracks that they're starting to show that we've sort of seen over the last 2 weeks, or this game will sort of see how much of a fraud Hawthorn is, because they're sort of getting found out a lot as well. I think it's going to be a close game only because I don't see any of these teams smashing one another, but I've got Hawthorn just.
Well, I mean, Giants, Blues, Hawks, Lions. It could be like it's like a fraud cup, isn't it? Potentially.
Yeah. Hey, back to back as well.
Are you tipping the Hawks in?
I'm tipping the Hawks in. Yep.
Yeah, you know what? I'm following you in, mate. I think the Hawks will at the G, and then we can start calling the Lions frauds. North versus the Pies. I mean, this is. I actually fear for North because you've done that stupid thing you guys do where you rotate players, which means now everyone's fully fit. Everyone's had a 24 hours off to play AFL 26. I feel like this is going to be like a full strength 23. I'm going to go big call. I actually reckon we get a 90s scoreline here where you win by 100. I
wish I had as much confidence as you, Pom. Where you know, and Collingwood supporters in the chat can hopefully sort of back me up on this. Is that when we're playing a team, and last year was a good, a good viewing of it where we went down by 52 points and then came back. When we play a team that we should be smashing by 100 points, we play to their level. We succumb to that voice in our head saying we should win by 100 points. We should win by 100 points. We did it in 2023, our flag year. We did it against West Coast. They beat us at Marvel. I think we'll win, but I only think it'll be by about 20. I reckon by about 30 points. I reckon we win. Yeah, see, it's a Collingwood thing. Yeah, see, it's a Collingwood thing.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a Collingwood thing. But I think we'll win. I think we'll win by only about 30 points. I don't think it's going to be an 80-point drubbing. Because like I said, right, we're playing these teams now when they're coming up to speed. We get West Coast after a bye. We get Richmond after the bye. We get Kangaroos when they're starting to close out games and drawing and stuff like that. So, if it was at the middle of the year, we're winning by 120. Now, only winning by about 30.
I genuinely think that is going to be it's going to be like a Bonnie Blue world record. Like, honestly.
I hope so.
They are. Yeah, you can christen your freaking review.
Hopefully less sticky, but I hope so.
And then this is an intriguing game, isn't it? Fremantle versus Port Adelaide.
Yes, Fremantle, Port Adelaide, Optus Oval, 8:10. There's actually that's a bumper Saturday, isn't it?
It is. To be fair, I've got look. I never compliment the AFL, but the AFL have actually done some really good fixturing recently.
Yeah, it's this fixture looks pretty good, but I can't go past Fremantle at home. Surely that was the catalyst. Surely that game against the Giants was the catalyst. Yeah, It's the fucking fraud. It is. It really, really is.
Sean, if I was in charge of the AFL, I would have christened this fraud round and made all the clubs create a fraud Guernsey. I would have made the losers of these games have to have their logo say fraud next week. I'm with you, Swoop. Look, I keep saying this about Port. They can only play when there's emotion involved.
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, you can't
exactly
hate Fremantle. Like, Fremantle are like, the cousin your mum makes you play with. And she bribes you with McDonald's. If you're nice to him, she'll get you McDonald's on the way home. But, he's just a bit quirky. You don't really not like him. He's just a bit quirky and hard work. That's in Fremantle. You can't hate Fremantle.
Yeah, they're just there. They're just there. But yeah, it'd have to be Fremantle.
JW, you know what's funny is I actually think JL is a genius because just when you sack him, he does an amazing win.
Yeah. Well, the thing with JL, what was so funny was when they lost to the Indigenous All-Stars, and he's like, "Oh, we just didn't want to show everyone our game plan," and they get smashed in the first round.
I do feel sorry for him, but I mean, this game I am so looking forward to. The Crows versus the Eagles. Got to give a shout out as well, and I bet the media don't give it. Harley Reid's form in the last 2 weeks has been, I think, sensational, and I think he's been unduly targeted by the media. I think I've been very impressed with Harley's attitude the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's for them talking about how immature he is and all this sort of stuff, he's really stepped up. What does that mean long term for the Eagles and for Harley Reid? Who really knows? But all you can do is play for the club that play for the jumper that you're wearing at the moment, and he's really, I guess, pulled the proverbial out of his ass. You know what I mean? So pulled his finger out, and that goal that he scored, fucking from 50 today. I love how he goes about it. And how many times do we say that we need personality in our game, and then someone shows personality and we sort of knock them down? In saying all that, Crows by 60 points.
You know what though, Sweet? You make a good point. The AFL's fascinating, isn't it? We really, 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 really want some people to show a bit of personality. And then the minute someone does, oh, wait a minute, it's too much personality.
Yeah. You have to. You can never have the right mix at AFL House.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. But no, I'm with you. I would be flabbergasted if the Crows didn't win this. Demons, though, this is an intriguing one. Both sides coming off a win, both in a bit of dusty form. Both of them are. Demons, Swans.
I've actually got the Demons winning this because the Swans just lost McInerney and Armadi to the Tribunal. So they're 2 down. And I think that'll rattle them a bit. I know, and you kind of, I guess this is another fraud watch of a game as well, because the Swans only played well in that last quarter against Carlton, and the Demons really only played well in that last quarter against Brisbane. So if this game could just be one last quarter, we might get a good game. But I've got the Demons winning.
Yeah, it would be the most Carlton thing in the season that they lose all their players to suspensions and then the Demons beat them. But I mean, this is one of them games here, isn't it? Now the end game. We've slagged Ross off. This has got Ross masterclass written all over it.
I was just about to say this game has got St Kilda on the ropes winning because they played dour defensive football, but they still win somehow. And it's at Marvel, isn't it?
I believe it is this one, yeah.
And Damien Hardwick doesn't like playing at Marvel. So
yeah, I mean, I remember doing the Richmond Gold Coast game and people taking the piss and going, "Oh, why have you done this one?" And I was like, "I've just got a feeling Richmond will make this closer than you think," and they ended up winning. This is another one of them games where I would not be shocked that Saints win a 63-42 classic.
see, and that feeling of, you know, Suns Suns are going to lose a game, you know, could possibly lose a game that everyone's saying that they should win, and Saints could win a game because this is, for some weird reason, a very winnable game for the Saints, even though they're not going too well and the Suns are better, is the same sort of mentality that Collingwood supporters have when we verse teams that are in like the bottom six. It's like, we should win. We know we should win this by 120 points. We're either going to lose by a close one or only win by 15. It's that same sort of weird mental battle. But I weirdly have the Saints in this. I weirdly have the Saints.
You know what? Just to be different, I'm going to bat the Suns in, but
There we go.
Genuinely, just remember, I would not be shocked. Can't wait for that game and it just to be the Saints win and me be like, I hate football. But Swoop, firstly, thank you very much for joining me. As always, you are always a pleasure, never a chore. Now, I'm sure most of the Saint and the Collingwood fans that are in chat already know who you are and already know where you are. But Swoop, if people head on over to the link now and subscribe, what kind of things will they expect from the Swoop Luke channel?
You can expect a lot of Collingwood chat. I'm starting a player. So the best thing that I'm doing, and I saw someone post about it in the comments, I've started an AFL 26 player career mode with a player that's my height, so 5'2", trying to get him through Vic Metro into the AFL draft. So that's been a bit of fun. So you'll see that on there. I've started a podcast with Brody Holland. You'll see that on there. That's every Wednesday. That comes out every Wednesday night. You'll see this pretty face on there. And just hit that subscribe button, support the channel. And yeah, Pom, it's always nice to spend a Sunday evening with you, mate. Just any evening, mate, to be honest.
Look, I was dying. But you and chat have got me through it. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting too old to have man flu, but I do suffer. But I mean, I've got to say, you and Brody Holland, that must be, because Dutch is a good-looking boy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
You and Brody Holland must be the best-looking podcast in Australia, isn't it? You and him.
I think on Wednesday we're doing a pull-up challenge, topless pull-up challenge. So everyone needs to tune in for that, I think.
Yeah, because it does surprise me. He's aged brilliantly.
Mate, he still looks like he could play football. Like that's how in good shape he is.
Yeah, I've seen him around the podcast scene, and honestly, I'm very impressed. I'm like, fucking hell, he looks younger than he did when he played.
Yeah, wow. But he's such a good dude. It's been an incredible, incredible experience. Like I can't. Yeah, it's second to none. It's a weird experience, incredible experience, but yeah, it's fun. Every Wednesday night, guys. My next AFL 26 episode will be tomorrow night or tomorrow about 5-6ish. That'll drop. And yeah, this was heaps of fun, Pommy.
Mate, thank you very much. Well, I mean, what have you got on this channel this week? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, you've got the review of all the games, our little recap show that I do, where we give you a little sentence about every club. There will be an AFL 26 series, so we're going to go live a couple of times next week with our pro team, Pom Cotter Pirates, because we did pack Alex Chincotta. So you in chat will be able to pick the team as we go and beat some children on that game. You who watch the watch along will be pleased to know that the mechanic, the specialist came round and installed an aerial. So there won't be any delays. We won't be watching it on KO anymore. We'll be watching it on normal TV. So you'll be enjoying that. So I'm looking forward to showing that. Loads of content coming up this week. I think I'm live every day. So I'm going to have to make sure I get rid of this cold and stop being a suck. But thanks very much for hanging with us. Love you all. See you next week. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your week.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.